So the Word of God has the power to change us. So that's why we emphasize here, we should not read the Bible. We must allow the Bible to read us, work in us, work in us. Be open, be willing, and be present there. The word you have meditated need not do the work immediately at that time. The word can do the work at any time. How do I allow the work to happen? Provided I am with the word always. I am with the word always. So how do I carry the word with me on other occasions also? The meditation, when I meditate the word has to become my meditation. Means, it's deeper listening. It becomes implanted in my heart. How does a young man keep his way pure? By keeping the word in his heart. How do you keep the word in the heart? That is by meditating. James is writing, Uttupath, in first chapter, 23.
If anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in a mirror.
Continue.
But the one who looks into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and perseveres, being no hearer who forgets, but a doer who acts, he will be blessed in his doing.
25, any other translation?
സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യത്തിന്റെ തികഞ്ഞ ന്യായപ്രമാണം ഉറ്റുനോക്കി അതിൽ നിലനിൽക്കുന്നവനോ കേട്ട് മറക്കുന്നവനല്ല, പ്രവൃത്തി ചെയ്യുന്നവനായി താൻ ചെയ്യുന്നതിൽ ഭാഗ്യവാനാണ്.
The one who looks intently at the perfect law, the law of liberty, and abides by it, abide by it, not having become a forgetful hearer, but an effectual doer, this man will be blessed in what he does. Very good example of, you look at the mirror, but when you go out, you cannot remember your mirror, remember your face. Try to recollect, you cannot. You listen to the message, you come outside, you ask, what was the message? Very good. What was the message? I don't know. Outside, immediately they forget. Do you remember day for yesterday's meditation? Do you remember what you meditated? Yes. Do you remember what you meditated a few days back, certain things? But if somebody has spoken ill of you, you remember it for 5 years, 10 years. All the words you don't forget. Because you repeat it so many times in your mind. He who looks intently at the perfect law, the law of liberty, and abides by it, perseveres it. നിലനിൽക്കുന്ന, not having become a forgetful hearer, but an effectual doer. Belief is spilling into behavior. Belief and behavior. Hearing and doing. 21. Same chapter.
Therefore put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls.
Implanted word. മലയാളത്തിൽ
ഉൾനട്ടത്.
ഉൾനട്ടതുണ്ടോ? വായിച്ചായിരുന്നു ഉൾനട്ടതെന്ന്.
ഉൾനട്ടത്.
ആ, നട്ടതാ അത്. നട്ട ചെടിയുടെ വേരെങ്ങനെ മുളിക്കുന്ന ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് പറിച്ചു നോക്കണം അല്ലേ? Pluck it and keep it. Next day come and plant it. Do you have continuity of thinking after this? Immediately into another discussion. The root is gone. It don't take root. When you want to draw a picture, you ask everybody to leave. You go on drawing it. You draw, go on. When you go out, still the picture is in mind. How to draw it complete. That's how artist completes. Even before making a sculpture, the person knows the form inside the big stone. He sees that picture clearly. And while he's chiseling away the unnecessary things, he has the form in the mind. Very difficult. Only few people do that. He has the form in his mind. So while we sit, talk, eat, do we carry this inside us? Do we connect word to every aspect of life also? Getting connected. Integration. Now for medicine, we study anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pharmacology, various subjects. It's all studied in isolation. That student has no idea at that time why he is studying all this. But then he becomes a doctor, he operates. He has to know anatomy, he has to know physiology, he has to know the biochemistry, pharmacology, everything he has to know. Unless the integration happens, he cannot be a good surgeon. He doesn't know where the artery is, he cannot do anything. Similarly, the Bible, one portion must be integrated with the other portion also. Part of the Bible, when you read, you can read only a part. Part of the Bible is part of the whole. Whole Bible. Whole Bible must be kept in mind when you see the part. This whole Bible must become part of life also. So when I see one aspect of life, there must be some aspect of Bible connected to it. So that is how the connection happens. Integration happens in medicine. Otherwise we can't work. If a good manager, if he is not keeping in his mind the balance, the budget and the expense, well, he will be spending everything and nothing is there. Budget is there, but he doesn't know anything. Good person integrates. Similarly, this integration. That's why whenever we study something, we bring how it is related to life. Practical daily living. So that is how transformation begins. Continue to behold it. Implanted word. The doing comes from the hearing. Doing comes from the hearing. Now, for example, we read a lot covet not. It's Old Testament law, we say. Old Testament is gone. And there are people, no, we are not living by law anymore. Then take now Luke 12:15.
He said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness.
Yes.
For a man's life
Now, beware of covetousness. We'll look at that. മലയാളത്തില്
പിന്നെ അവരോട് സകല ദ്രവ്യാഗ്രഹവും സൂക്ഷിച്ചൊഴിഞ്ഞുകൂടി.
സകല ദ്രവ്യാഗ്രഹവും. The right translation is all forms of covetousness. Leviticus says, covet not your neighbor's wife, ox, donkey, cattle, field, anything him belongs to you. Covet not. Where does covetousness come from? 15th verse, read following it.
ഒരുത്തന് സമൃദ്ധി ഉണ്ടായാലും അവന്റെ വസ്തുവകയില്ല, അവന്റെ ജീവൻ ആകണമെന്നിരിക്കുന്നു.
Here is a foundational teaching. Abundance of possession is not the basis of life. But from childhood, what are we taught?
Abundance is required.
What are the abundance in modern terms? Abundance of education, abundance of degrees, job, salary, bank balance, land, gold, every abundance. Abundance of spouse's salary, children's salary, then father's inheritance, everything put together became abundance. So abundance is the basis. Now he teaches abundance is not the basis. Now we break this rule. We disregard this rule. If we begin to believe abundance is the basis of life, naturally we want to have more and more of everything. Having more and more of everything is covetousness. More and more of everything. But we put a new word now. What new word? Brother, I am not covetous, I am just being wise. Now it is rule, the sting of it's gone. I am being wise. Brother, God talks about only abundance. I am not having abundance, brother. Only what is just needed. We know how to. Immediately that kind of integration will happen. From Bible verses, wherever you want certain verses, you take them and put them together to support your viewpoint. Do we understand what is communicated in that foundational teaching? Do we accept that into life? Do we implant that word in our heart? Will every decision be controlled by this?
You said more and more of everything is covetousness.
Yes.
Even if by rightful means. Even if by rightful means. No, what I'm saying is that you are not coveting is desiring for something that belongs to another. No.
Which money you make, somebody's money only you make, no?
But he works hard and gets the money.
The money is somebody else's. It is in somebody else's hand you are getting it. That's how it comes. Righteous means, unrighteous means you want to have it more and more.
As a daily part of my this thing. But what I'm saying is having an increased bank balance is just an abundance. Okay, I'm simple living I'm giving. I don't have expenses. The bank balance is increasing.
Why? What should you do with this?
Giving out.
See, there comes the integration of teaching of Christ. It's far more blessed to give than to receive. Do you neglect that rule? It's more blessed to give. Then, second principle. As the Father has same attitude, He lends without expecting anything to be given back. Do we have that attitude? Lending without expecting anything to be given back. Now put them together, how much will remain in you? No, we don't want that two rules. Can I have more? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. What will happen? Will I be able to spend more than others? Yes, I can, provided I am compromised. Who is your neighbor? Immediate question will come. And then the Lord has taught who is your neighbor. The immediate neighbor.
What can I share? I define my giving and I say, well, this is my giving. This part is my giving. This much. Every of my, that is all my giving is.
I know.
I defined it.
No, you cannot define it. Spirit must define. Love must define. Love must define. This is the integration that happens. You are not starting from your life and your desire. You are starting from the Word of God and the mind of Christ. Don't you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ? Though He was rich, He became poor, that through His poverty we might become rich. It's not to make you rich, so that you will have the mind of Christ again to make others rich. And what will be the rule of others? Others also will have the mind of Christ. It doesn't stop anywhere. It continues the process of sharing and giving and sharing and giving and sharing. The Oxfam study done many years back, if you share all the food products produced in the world, 4 times the population of the world can be fed and still food will be remaining. This broken. Hoarding happens. Having more than what is needed happens. Covetousness is there. So the whole imbalance has come. UNO study, 63% of the wealth in the world is held by people who can be accommodated in a jet plane. 63% of the wealth in the world is held by people who can be accommodated in a jet plane, maximum 350 people. Rest is distributed all over the world. Will there be poverty or not? Those people will say, God has blessed me. Which God? Not Jesus Christ, whose mind was different. This is where the whole integration must happen. While I see my life, I must see give us this day our daily bread. I cannot eat all the bread I have. Some people do that. Few countries eat up everything. To keep the price in Punjab, they burn the wheat there. the farmers burned the wheat because there was bumper crop. They dump things into the sea. They pour out the milk into the sea, Norwegian countries, to keep the price of milk. No, so I'm bringing forth one area, covetousness. It is taught in the New Testament also, Jesus Christ, basic problem. Now, if my foundational principle is wrong, my prayer request will be wrong. 12th chapter, 13th verse. Luke 12:30.
Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me."
This is a prayer request. Lord, can you help to get my property divided? Then my anxiety will be over. Then the Lord said, 14th verse.
But he said to him, "Man, who may be a judge or arbitrator over you?"
What is he telling? You remember some of the examples I have given? A doctor is coming for rounds into the ward, cardiologist, with his team. One patient gets up and tells, "Doctor, and masala dosa, reply idli, sambar and chutney." Do you know what the doctor will tell the nurse? Nurse, can you transfer this patient to psychiatric ward? Is doctor coming to make dosa and idli? No. Patient level. Why did the father send the son? Go and get the property divided, give them admission, get them married. Is he sent for that? Why did the father send him? Seek and save those who are lost. He is telling, who gave me this job? எனக்கு இந்த வேலையை கொடுத்தவன் யாரு? We are appointing him, we are telling him to do certain things. Now, many prayer requests will be cancelled now. You cannot pray this prayer to doctor. You cannot tell a traffic police haircut. Why did he come? He is asking who gave me this job. We say we can bring every need before. No. He tells this man a wrong prayer request came from wrong foundational belief. Abundance of possession is basis of life you believe, so your prayer request came because of covetousness. I'm not answering your prayer. Do we integrate? Integrate. We begin with another thinking. What thinking? To live in this world, we need abundance. If we want to have abundance, somebody else will act. When we came to work in this place, hospital, if we wanted to make money, most of the people would have become poorer because it's a poor, famine-stricken area at that time. Because some of them said no to themselves, patients are taken care of. Pollachi area, one doctor was coming from Coimbatore and taking care of patients. At that time there was a cholera epidemic. One day a father came and said, "Yesterday I could not bring my son, he died of cholera." Why he didn't bring? I had to give you a consultation fees, I didn't have the money. That day he decided, no consultation fees, I will keep a box there, anybody has anything you put it. That day he decided not to have consultation. Yes, I can decide something. So it affects the whole living together. One decision. There will be many people who are selfish, But Christians, if we live by kingdom ways, kingdom principles, first it bring transformation in our lives, then little around us. But the power of this will go on. I'll give you one example. There was a man called Kagawa in Japan. He is from a Buddhist background. While he was studying in college, he became a Christian. He decided to work with the poor. Town is there, slums are there. He put his things in a wheelbarrow, crossed the bridge which separates the town and the slum. He never returned. He lived there. Anybody will come and ask dresses, he will give off his dress. Finally, he had no dress to come out. One lady gave a kimono to put on. That's the dress he had. He will have food prepared. Many people will come to eat. It will be diluted further and further and further. And it served for everyone. He died with tuberculosis, very sick. His ministry was very objectionable to the government. He was working with the poor, lifting them up. But finally, it was recognized, his work was recognized. The slum was abolished. It became a different place. The emperor finally awarded him recognized him for his work. And later, he was not looking for it, it was recognized. One single man lived a Christian way, brought a revolution. Here is an example. 2 doctors who came and the 2 nurses who came. They lived here a different way. Different. The wife who joined the doctor was from Tiruvalla, a judge's daughter, lived in luxury. Here, she had to go into the Cholakad for no toilet. She has to come draw water and take it. She did it, lived there. The whole area and the work began to be influenced. When we came, there was only one CSI church with few people. Now there are so many churches, the whole village, many places, there are worship places. This is unknown place, when no Christian was here in this town. Now there is a church here. So the learning must get integrated with daily life also. Daily life.
സകല രവിയാഗ്രഹവും സൂക്ഷിച്ച് ഒഴിഞ്ഞു കൊള്ളുമെന്ന് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിനകത്ത് നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഒരു ട്രാൻസ്ഫോർമേഷൻ നടന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞ് നാച്ചുറലായിട്ട് നടക്കുന്ന കാര്യമാണ്. അവിടെ മുമ്പ് സെൽഫ് ചെയ്ത കാര്യമാണ്.
അതായത് ആദ്യം അക്സെപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് കർത്താവിൻ്റെ ടീച്ചിങ്സാണ്. ഇതാണ് ജീവിക്കാനുള്ള പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾ എന്നുള്ളത് ആദ്യം അക്സെപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. കർത്താവ് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്ന വാക്കുകൾ ഇതാണ് സത്യം. What world is teaching is not the right. What God is teaching is the right teaching. That must become the foundation for my life. ആഴ കുഴിച്ച് അതിന്മേൽ പണിയണം. അതല്ല പണിയെന്ന് തുടങ്ങുന്നു. See, foundational teachings are only few. One is this. ഇത് സ്റ്റോൺ ആകണം. Foundation. Cornerstone is Jesus Christ. The other stones which forms the foundation. അതിനിളക്കം വരില്ല. അത് നിൽക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ Christian life will be built up. Whatever struggle comes, it will stand. When Moses was commanded by God, last verse in Exodus 26, 25 last. Okay.
See that you make them after the pattern for them which is being shown you on the mountain.
And then you come to 39 and 40 chapters, look for the words that say, just as the Lord commanded Moses. How many times it comes? Just as the Lord commanded Moses എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് 39 ചാപ്റ്ററിലും 40 ചാപ്റ്ററിലും എത്ര പ്രാവശ്യമുണ്ട്? Same meaning comes as the Lord commanded. Okay. Tamil 20 இருக்கா? 18 times it comes. Okay. 18 times. See, Bible uses only minimum words. Why this is repeated? Is it not enough to put it once? Why is it repeated? What is important?
Obedience to Lord's commands foundation.
Details are important. Obedience to the minute details is important. Minute details. Which kind of ani? Important. Minute detail is important. Now, Jesus Christ showed up his teaching on the mountain. Another mountain. Mountain. Sermon on the mountain. This is the blueprint for human life. You cannot build on that kind of things with your effort. Keeping the commandments of Jesus Christ is impossible. But He can enable you to do that. Enable you to do that if you depend on Him. So the life will not be accepted if it is not built according to the pattern. In 40th chapter of Exodus, 40:32 says, when they entered the tent of meeting, when they approached the altar, they washed just as the Lord had commanded Moses. 34, then the cloud covered the tent of meeting. Then. So our life has to be built on the foundational principles of the kingdom. So we need to listen to it very carefully, study it carefully, and build our life on that. Another foundational teaching, I will mention it on the later. Another foundational, yesterday we saw. If anyone wants to follow me, let him deny himself, take up the cross. There is no other way of following him. No other way of following. You cannot omit that and follow Christ. You cannot. They are building their own kingdom and following Christ. How can it be? They are all saying we are following Christ. Christ has blessed our ministry. Nothing. It cannot happen. So, another foundational, I think earlier to all this, you must be born again. If you are not born again, you will not see the kingdom of God, first of all. Then he says you will not enter the kingdom of God. So that has to become clear. Am I? See, many people are in the church for various reasons. One reason is children accompanied parents to the church. Parents died, children are continuing to go to church. They are not born again. They are members of the church. They are descendants, that's all. Descendants. You joined a friend and went to the church. Hey, இங்கே ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்குடா, நான் இங்கே வந்துடுறேன். He continued to come there. He is not born again. He was sick, he came for prayer. He was healed. He said, I will come here. He is coming because he was healed. He is not born again. A bishop in England, after his retirement, he was attending an evangelistic meeting in which he was born again. So it all can happen. It can all happen. So, we must check when we study the word, am I born again? If that foundation has not been laid, many problems, misunderstanding in Christian life come because of that.
Born again means I cannot make myself born again. The Spirit has to do it.
We are studying it later. I must know that I am born again. I didn't say I must be born again. Bible says you must be born again, but you cannot do that. That's why I said it's not because of natural descent. It's not because of human decision, not because of decision of another man. No pastor can make you born again. You cannot make yourself born again. Natural descent means because your parents are born again, you cannot be. You are born of God. John 1:13. 1:13. So, why I am mentioning, these are important, on which only other teachings of Christ can be learned and appropriate. இப்போ இது இல்லாத, it's like sometimes naming or buying clothes for a child which is not born. பிறக்கவே இல்லை, ஆனால் ட்ரெஸ் எல்லாம் வாங்கியாச்சுன்னு சொன்னாங்க. We may not be born again but become members of the church. That's why in every church, in between, frequently, gospel message must be given clearly. I may say that of anyone. Missionaries. Missionaries can be in mission field for any other reasons. Many struggles in their life come because of that. Many of the normal things which we talk about in life, normal in the world, but abnormal in the kingdom. But we bring that normal into the kingdom also. For example, you are mentioning about normal desires. In kingdom it is covetousness. In the world it is normal. അതൊക്കെ തെറ്റാതെങ്ങനെ പറയും.
No satisfaction, those should not have it. You should not have it.
I won't answer you now. You will look for what the Bible teaches when you will be satisfied. We have studied it. If necessary, we will look at it again. That's why I will say, start from the teachings of Christ and enter into your life. Do not start from your life, enter into asking questions. You will never have answers. It's go on, discussions will go on. You need a foundation for beginning. You need a foundation for beginning anything. You need a standard for measuring, whether it is right or wrong. The first thing the world is rejecting, saying there is no absolute standard. They remove Bible, then they can do anything. But Bible says there is an absolute standard given by the God of this universe. The world says no absolute standards, everything is relative. There is wiped off. The whole thing is wiped off. Nowadays in Christian world, there is no absolute standard. Everything is okay now. That's the world in which you live now. We are going to have more and more confusion. When there is no standard, evil will invade. 7 other spirits will come. 7 other spirits. Because there is no foundation inside. You are solving only problem today.
When you spoke about money, you see it is mentioned as unrighteous mammon, right?
3 times in the Gospels we see the word unrighteous mammon used in the King James Version. In many other things it is moved as money. Not because it is the unrighteous means in which you make, it is unrighteous in itself. Money is unrighteous in itself. One example. Love of money is the root of all evil. They discuss and talk. Money is not the problem. Love of money is the problem. They say money is neutral. Many people, leaders I have heard teaching. But second question is, how many people you have seen who do not love money? Why? Money has an inherent nature to make you love it. Love it. So it is something different. It's not printed paper. It's not barter system changed by money. It has something more in it. The Lord called this, no one can serve 2 masters. Money for man can take the place of a place equal to God as a master and become more powerful than God for it. That's why he says no one can serve 2 masters. But we say it is not. It's not. It's not dangerous.
Can we think it like this? For example, a farmer who is toiling from morning till evening in hot sun, he is given 500 or 600 rupees. A man sitting in the AC, trading somebody else's money, he is paid 700 rupees for 5 minutes. So the money in itself, when you compare, it's all over the world this is happening. So is that one of the reasons why Jesus said this unrighteous?
Many reasons. He has said is unrighteous. We can just take it without any further, it is unrighteous. If you bring that example, somebody will bring another example to prove. So he said unrighteous, it is unrighteous. From our lifestyle living, we should not interpret Bible. From Bible, we must look at our life. I may be living like this, I may be living like this, so what is wrong? No. Yes?
Okay. Now, how to deal with this?
How to?
Money.
Ah.
The thought of money, the
coveting money is sin. But at the same time, without money we cannot live.
That's a wrong understanding. Wrong understanding.
Okay, now what is the alternate? What is the alternate? See, even to have a meeting, we coming from Chennai here, we have to have money.
If you want meeting like this, we have to have money. If you sit in the forest and eat whatever is available and have a meeting, it also can have.
Possible, yeah.
Yes.
See now we have come. We make use of money and we have come here.
Now I am again telling you, from this lifestyle we should not interpret the Bible. From the Bible you must come to the interpretation of life.
Now, I am trying to understand when Jesus said the unrighteousness of money. I'm not able to understand that. That's all.
Yes. Yeah. That is why we need to see the foundational teachings first. If we bring them together, certain clarity will emerge. Clarity will emerge. That's why in LRS, I thought all of us remember the teachings of the fundamental teachings which we learned earlier. That's why some of the struggles still remain. We need to remind itself. I think we will begin from there also. Each one has to be started again. The first thing, I begin with few things which you remember, recollect it. First I begin the way of learning. All our learning must be integrated. Theory is not enough. But the whole world emphasizes only information. That's the background from which we have come. We think if I know more, that's enough. That's more. Medical science, they know more, that does not change their life. So there is a first beginning. Learning must be in a Christian way. Immediately, every learning must be connected to life. That means it will take long time to proceed further. Each aspect has to be connected to life. But we come with limited time. 5 days only we need to learn. Some people will ask, can you teach this in 2 days? And Matt also will ask, can we have 1 day, Laras? I don't understand what they are talking. A lifelong process of learning, accompanying someone, and the way of learning is the only way Bible teaches. People, disciples, accompanied Jesus Christ, and this type of teaching was never done. Accompanying and learning is the only way. Living. That's why the church was established, which must equip people by being with them and teaching. So we lack so many of those things in the beginning itself. That itself will be a drawback. So we learn in patches and we are not able to connect them at all. For example, even if the church gives a message, I say some church leaders will read newspaper and give exposition. You attend a meeting, 3-4 topics, disconnected topics will be taken by each leader. The listener will hear what is the connection, he doesn't understand anything, he goes back. They say, so many people attend. There itself something is wrong. So that's the first about learning. Second is, we look at the purpose why God has given the Bible. If you are not reading, studying the Bible for the purposes for which He has given, it will become very meaningless. It's not for reading He has given, with clear purposes He has given. That has to be reviewed. Then we look at the difficulty in listening to God. How to listen to God and difficulty in listening to God. That have to be clarified. That will take time. Then we look at the fundamental problem of man, from which most of the symptoms of life come, which we call as problems. The fundamental problem is rebellion with God. The fundamental problem is rebellion. When we study a few verses of that rebellion, unless the first two, integration, not only information, if that and the purpose of Bible is not understood, study of these passages will become academic again. Then we see if the problem is rebellion, how that in Bible it is healed. There we bring the cross. We teach the cross. The centrality of the whole Bible is on the cross. What happened on the cross is not appropriated, no further teaching is possible. Finished. We can stop there. No further teaching is possible. The whole teaching will be academic. Then we all will struggle. The teaching on money or everything will. First thing is the rebellion has to cease. Only a person who has surrendered his life can understand the further teachings of Christ. That's why the first teaching will be born again. Second, if anyone wants to follow me, let him deny. Without that, we are not going to understand the Bible. Money matters will not be understood. So I think when people, because you all will be meeting many people, when they come and raise an issue, please don't give an answer. They won't take it. You may understand the answer, they won't understand. They need to solve their basic problems. Basic problems. When we take up a patient, he has come with a hernia. We examine him, we find that he has diabetes and a heart problem. We don't take up the hernia. First, the heart's problem has to be solved. Diabetes has to be controlled. Otherwise, if you operate, the patient will die. So the fundamental problem has to be solved medically. Similarly, in kingdom. I think God has to be gracious. Many of us are able to learn only in patches, because the teaching of the church is in patches, disconnected. Every week only messages are given. People do not understand what is it. Very few churches have a right way of teaching Bible over the year. CSA Church has a format given, but even then the teaching is different in the church. How do we? Bible study also, if we attend few Bible study, it is most often I have seen is somebody coming and preaching and going. It's not Bible study. So all of us coming here is not for your life alone. You are going to touch the life of many people. How will you accompany them in their life journey. Accompany them in their life journey. So when the money matter taken, if you take it as such, it's going to be difficult. You have many questions. Each one will have many questions.
In preaching, we mean passing on information.
Yes,
What we
yeah.
preaching.
Well, just few information. The purpose of the seminar also is to initiate the process of learning. Once we initiate and we know how to have the integrative learning, the Spirit of God will teach. And that's what is happening in the lives. We cannot teach everything, and nobody can teach everything. And it is actually introducing or initiating. You rightly said. That's all that we can do. So these few days, I will say, leave all distractions, everything. Continue to learn to listen to God. Wait on God. Wherever time is available, don't get engaged in other things. Leave those things. Leave those things. Even if necessary, fix your time of taking the phone. Only one occasion in the evening. Nothing will happen. It is a man who will receive hundreds of calls in a day. He is not at it. Leave them. It's not important. But we are held by a certain preconceived idea. I must do all these things. In between the meetings, the time is why you can assimilate and bring it inside. For that you need space and time. Take space. If you need more time, I will say don't come for the meetings. Or tell we need more time. Create that space to sit and listen. There is only one teacher, the Holy Spirit. He will lead us into all truth. Learn to listen. Learn to listen. For that, you need to have more and more inner silence. Inner silence. Outer silence will not create inner silence, but outer disturbance can disturb the inner silence. That means absence of words will not create silence. You can be preoccupied with the 7 demons. Take for example, for the initial things, John's Gospel, chapter 8. We are going to read from 32 onwards. When one reads, others can listen and look into the Bible also if necessary.
And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
So he makes a statement, you will know the truth, you will become free. Immediately the people who were listening responded. Continue.
They answered him, "We are offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free?"
Here comes a rooted, grounded belief in them. They are descendants of Abraham, so they are children of God. Rooted belief. They are not going to change it. Now Jesus Christ is confronting this. Ye are not free, ye are slaves. Next.
Jesus answered them, Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin.
Yes. They are not going to agree, but he tells the truth. Everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin and slave to Satan. Continue.
The slave does not remain in the house forever, the son remains forever. So if the son sets you free, you will be free indeed.
Again, he brings them, reminding them, you are slaves, I come to make you free. What's their answer?
I know that you are offspring of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me, because my word finds no place in you. I speak of what I have seen with my father, and you do what you have heard from your father.
Now he says, I agree that you are offsprings, your descendants. That doesn't mean that you are children of God. You are descendants, but you are not children of God. Why? Reason number one.
They answered him, Abraham is our father. Jesus said to them, if you were Abraham's children, you would be doing the works Abraham did.
Yes. If you are Abraham's is your father, you're children of Abraham, you will do the works of Abraham. You are not doing it. Can we connect it to another verse? Luke 6:35. 35.
But love your enemies, do good, and lend, hoping for nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for He is kind to the unthankful and evil. Therefore be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful.
Are we kind to the ungrateful and wicked? Who is kind to the ungrateful and wicked? Father. Are we are claiming that we are children of God. So what will Jesus Christ tell us? You do the works of your Father. You are not doing the work of your Father. But we will insist we are children of God. He will tell we must do DNA test. Like father, like son. தாயை போல பிள்ளை நூலை போல சேலை எங்கே பொருத்தம் அப்படியெல்லாம் இல்லை சார் எல்லாம் அப்படியெல்லாம் நீங்கள் சொன்னாலும் நீங்கள் எல்லாம் that's what the Jewish people are arguing. Come to 8th chapter, please.
But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. This is not what Abraham did.
Second thing, Abraham did not do this. What's the first thing Abraham did not do?
You are doing the works your father did.
No, before that Abraham did not do.
If you were Abraham's children, you would be doing the works of Abraham.
Yes. You are not doing that. Now you are not.
You are trying to
Kill me. Abraham did not do that. Continue.
You are doing the works your father did. They said to him, we were not born of sexual immorality. We have one Father, even God.
See, Abraham is our father. Abraham was accepted by God, so we are who? God's children. You may say whatever you want, but we know that we are God's children. Now,
Jesus said to them, if God were your father, you would love me, for I came from God and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but He sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word.
why you cannot hear my word? Continue.
You are of your father the devil.
Will they leave him now? They will just want to kill him now. Their rooted century-old belief is they are Abraham's children and God's children. Now he is coming and telling you are children of the devil. What will happen if the same thing told of a Syrian Christian? Whole church will kill him. 1,000, 2,000 years we are Christians. You are telling us we are not children of God. Continue.
You are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires.
Yes. The reason why we do the desires of the Father is because new birth has not happened. 47th verse.
Whoever is of God hears the words of God. The reason why you do not hear them is that you are not of God.
See, what is the difficulty in listening to God's word and obey them? It's not hearing difficulty, it's a birth problem. It's a birth problem.
Arrogance.
Birth problem. It's not arrogance, it's a birth problem. He says, you are not children of God. Very difficult for these people. Why Spirit of God has written this passage here? It happened to them, but written down as warnings for those who live at end times. Now put all this together and read. Let it read your life and my life. That's what we need to do. Not becoming angry with these words, but reading it, allowing it to read our lives. No, let us look at our own life. By what they tell will not give a credit for our living. If they accuse me, that will not give a credit for me. It may be real also. We need to be careful. We need to listen to the word of God and come to a conclusion. John 3:8.
The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it, but cannot tell where it comes from and where it goes. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit.
What does it mean?
God is sovereign.
Pardon?
God is sovereign.
No. Everyone who is born of the Spirit, who is born again, will be like that. What does it mean? See, he says the wind blows from somewhere, it comes somewhere. Do you know where it comes, it goes? You don't know. Here it may know, here it comes, that may know, you may say that, but naturally you won't know. So is every man born of the Spirit. What is it? You are not able to say where it is coming, where it goes. So is the man who is born of the Spirit. What does it mean? You are sitting here now, and the Spirit of God is telling, leave the place and go. Will you sit here or go? You won't go because we agreed to come here. How can I displease? You will sit here. You won't go. A man led by the Spirit, who is born of God, will obey only the Spirit. You may become inconsistent and thrown out by the society. But will you do that? No. That's a difficulty. You will always be consistent with the Spirit. That means you may become inconsistent with people. Inconsistent with people. One example is John Hyde. He was in Punjab area, man of prayer. His knee has become the knee of camel because of prayer. During his time, the Sialkot revival happened. Meetings will be there, large number of people have gathered. He will be called to speak there. He will sit bowing down and praying. They will sing songs. When songs are over, they will come and say, it's time for message. He'll say, I don't have a message. I don't have a message. People will be kneeling down, crying out and confessing their sins. He won't speak there. He was led by the Spirit. People may say you are inconsistent. You came for the meeting and you are not giving a message. I mentioned about Rees Howard, a man of prayer. He used to, English people, they used to wear the hat and the shoes always. Whenever he prays, he used to remove it in honoring God. One day while he was walking, the Spirit reminded, I am with you always. From that day, he refused to wear shoes and hat. Nobody will accompany him. His friends rejected him. If he calls a cab, they won't come to take him. Madman. For an Englishman, not to wear shoes and hat is walking naked. Abnormal man. But every single prayer this man brought before God, God answered. It's recorded. Inconsistent with man, consistent with God.
To understand the verse, I'm going to take to understand the verse, what it says, and these statements.
So, every man who is born of God will be led by the Spirit and not by any human beings, like the wind.
You don't know where it comes from.
You cannot predict him. He will only listen to God. He will only listen to God. So you may think he will speak. He will listen to God and say no. You may ask a question, he may not answer you. Don't answer him. He won't answer. You say, what is this? I am asking a question, you are not answering.
Do you feel like that?
Yes.
The world may think he's inconsistent.
My mentor, you ask a question, he may not answer if it's not necessary. There is a meeting, 20 of us from different countries are there. 1 month. One day he disappeared. We came for the meeting, nobody is there. Somebody led the meeting. Next day he came. He need not answer, somebody asked. To that person he said, it was too much, I left. I had to spend time with him. It doesn't bother whether you are there or not. You may say, what is this? What kind of leader is this? It's bold, clear. Many of you, when you listened, you received clear instructions, and many of you have not done it also. Not done it. And because of that, your listening capacity has decreased. Sensitivity has decreased. He is not partial to anyone. It's not partial to. There is a rule in the kingdom, which we studied earlier. He who has, to him more will be given. He who does not have, whatever he has will be removed. If you listen and obey, he will teach you more and more. If you don't listen, he will stop teaching. It's a rule, kingdom rule. Like today's, attend whatever class I want. No. I like that, his class only. I will attend his class. In college it is like that, no. Many classes you skip. Yes, Lord, can you teach on that? No. That may be enough. Will you review your earlier notes? If you have your LRS notes, review that. The first few days' notes. If it's not clear, we will take up those issues also in the beginning. Shall we be silent?